So that was the best fucking Punisher movie I've ever seen. I'm not kidding. You know, as I'm watching this film, all I could think was, we've gotten 3 Punisher movies, all of them varying degrees of bad for different reasons. And this movie gets it, like, pretty much flawlessly right on the first go. It's like, why have we never gotten a good Punisher movie? I mean, clearly it can be done. All kidding aside, I really dug this movie. I didn't know. It's almost midnight now. I went to the last showing just kind of on a whim, and I was kind of thinking, oh, I'm tired. I don't, you know. And boy, I'm glad I did. This was a good one, and good in all the right ways. It's the bad parts are fairly minor. The good parts are just through the roof. I haven't enjoyed kind of a straight action movie like this in a long time. You know, comic book movies, yeah, but a straight up old school action movie, there hasn't been a really good one, for me at least, in a long time, and this one really does a great job. So, again, if you don't know the story or you haven't heard, so Jennifer Garner stars as, originally pretty much every character she's played in a movie for the last 5 years. The doting, put upon, but good-natured little suburban housewife. And I remember when I saw the trailer for this film, and they kind of faked you out with it, and they showed you kind of that part of the film first. My little girl has this and this in her heart, and da-da, and peppermint in her soul, and all I could think watching was like, oh, fuck. Another one of these little Jennifer Garner, family films. I just can't, because I hate her in those roles. Oh, I hate her in them. Only one I liked was Alexander and the No Good, Very Bad Day. But all the other ones, oh my god, it's teeth rotting, those films, And so they do that, and her family, her husband and her little girl, are killed in a gang shooting. And as is so often the case in these movies, the bad guys get away, and she swears revenge and then goes about getting her fucking revenge. And the movie is her getting her revenge. And it is a very cathartic, very well done action film. First of all, Jennifer Garner is one of those actors that I like, but again, I've seen very little that she's been in that I've really enjoyed, but she has a very unique energy to her, kind of I don't know how to describe it. There's something just a little mechanical about her performances, not quite perfect, not bad, just very, very different. So it's hard to find a good thing for her, but boy, she plays both parts of this character just really fucking well. She like I say, she's played that little housewife character, quite effectively for the last several movies, so she had that down. But then when she goes all, Joan McClane on them, it's totally believable. You remember why she first came to prominence playing a spy. She just kind of has that natural physicality. She moves very gracefully, but not so gracefully that all of her stuff looks overly choreographed. It feels natural. It feels like someone, she feels like a special forces ops or something like that. So yeah, the action scenes in this it takes a little while to get to them, and I was a little concerned there at the beginning, because I was hoping they weren't going to skip over all the really good action bits, because there are action movies I've seen where there's the potential for really great moments and set pieces, and the filmmaker, for one reason or another, just kind of, chucks them away. And I was worried that this one was going to do that, but it doesn't. Like watching Jennifer Garner mow through just shit tons of drug dealers is just unbelievably satisfying. It is really good. I wish I could talk a little bit about the supporting cast, but there's not many of them, and they all do a decent job. But this isn't the best way I can describe it is kind of The Punisher meets Die Hard, and done with a female protagonist, something we do not see a lot. And when we do see it, I don't think we see it done all that well. The closest thing I can think of is Atomic Blonde last year, and that had one really great fight scene in it, and the rest of it was pretty terrible, in my opinion. And this one, I think they found a great balance, and I think, I don't want to give anything away, but, if fucking Taken can spawn 2 really shitty sequels, then this thing, I'm watching this going, this better be a franchise. And I don't think that very often. Outside of like Marvel films or Bond movies, there's very few films I go to going, ooh, I hope there's a sequel. Because as I've gotten older and I've seen what kind of multiple sequels to great films can do, Jurassic World, Aliens, Pirates of the Caribbean, the list goes on. I've come to be more of the opinion that I want to be satisfied with what I have. I got one really great movie. Let's not worry about doing 45 more of them. But this was one that I was legitimately sitting there going, she better get away. She better not die or get caught, because I want to see Peppermint 2. I just think there's a lot of fun you can have with this character, and, this is not something we have. We don't have a badass female action hero. In terms of old school action movies, now with Wonder Woman and, Captain Marvel, we have the comic book thing, but we don't have an old school badass action film franchise with a female protagonist, and I think now we do, and I am really stoked to see more of them. The film just as a whole is really cleverly constructed. The plot flows. Once the plot gets going, I think one of the downsides is the movie gets off to a little bit of a rough start. A little bit too much exposition dumping, and not so much in the terms of the flashback that sets up the conflict, but just in terms of when we come back from that, all the cops getting together and, discussing her and linking the things together. That all takes a little too much time, and it's done. That's the one part of the film that really doesn't work, is that early chunk. But once the action gets going and once the film really kicks it in, it flows really well. I also like, and again, this is one I'm not going to talk spoilers because I don't want to give this away. I think the film is really clever in setting up kind of the inevitable twist at the end. Spoiler alerts. I'm just going to do spoiler alerts because I want to talk about this. Spoiler alerts. So go see this movie. That's the bottom line here. But I'm going to talk spoilers now. So, as with any of these films where there's corrupt law and corrupt cops and all this, that, and the other thing, that somebody in the police that's chasing her down has got to be working for the bad guys. Now, since the bad guys are a Latin drug cartel, you immediately think it's the Latin cop. The Hispanic cop. You immediately think that, and they kind of play into that a bit. He's warning, the young hotshot to be careful because the cartel will come after you and all this, that, and the other thing. And so you're leaning that way, but it turns out it's the white young cop the whole time. And it's like, fuck yeah. Because I was sitting there watching, it's going to be too easy to make it that guy. It can't be that guy. And it wasn't. I'm not saying it's the greatest twist of all time, but kudos to them for not going with the cliche. Kudos for them. Basically, kudos to them that if your villains of the piece are going to be a Latin drug cartel, having the good cop be the Hispanic cop is that good way to show, diversity in a good way. Especially when your hero is a, suburban white woman. You send the wrong message. You're out there, a suburban white woman, blowing away all these Hispanics. I mean, it doesn't look good. But, kudos to them for kind of having that balance. They go, no, this good cop, the bad cop is actually the white guy. So good on them. I like that they did that. So, yeah, movie as a whole works really, really great. A couple things I didn't like about it. A couple things, especially, like I say, they're in the beginning. The beginning part of the film is where it's kind of at its weakest. For little reasons. Number one, the director who does a lot of amazing things with the action scenes. This is one of those action movies where you can actually see everything. The camera's not doing a shaky cam thing or cutting so quick you can't track the action. It's really well framed and well directed. That being said, the director does have some cliche little directing tricks. Every time Jennifer Garner kind of is beat up and tired, and she's kind of slumping, the camera does that thing where it shakes and the light gets real white, like she's kind of whiting out, or you've seen that done 1,000 times in movies, and it's really it makes the early parts of the film seem really hackneyed, so I didn't like that. I also, and this is a really minor nitpick, but that's kind of how good this movie is to me, is that the only nitpicks I can think of are really, really minor, is that we don't get to see her get revenge on the 3 guys that actually kill her husband and daughter, that actually did the hit. She goes after the bigger picture. She goes after the folks who ordered it and all that, and that we get to see. But, I mean, and we see that she does kill them. They're like the first bodies that the cops find. But we don't actually get to see her take out those 3 guys. And I kind of wanted to see that. Especially after they did the flashback and they get off and, she's, they're laughing at her and all that. Like, you wanted to see those guys get fucked up. And we know they get fucked up, but we don't actually get to see it. And I was kind of disappointed in that. But that's really the only bad parts of this movie. And they're not even bad. They're just kind of annoying. The movie as a whole is pretty freaking great. I also got to say this is something crediting the director. So, one reason I'm not a fan of a lot of action movies these days and whatnot, I'm not a gore fan. I don't like explicit gore, and I just don't, it's just not something that has ever appealed to me. And there's a lot of parts in this movie where you're kind of gripping, going, oh crap, they're going to show this, they're going to show this, they're going to show this, and they don't. Okay, so, example, they have a scene where Jennifer Garner goes after the corrupt judge, and we see her lay a hammer and nails down on his table next to his gavel. And you're like, oh shit, you know what's coming here. And they cut away to another scene, and when they come back, he's got the nails in his hands. We didn't have to sit there and see her hammering them in. We got the picture. So that's good. I like that they didn't feel they had to go all the way into the gore realm of it. I also like, and this is kind of why I say it's kind of Die Hard meets The Punisher, is I like that, you know, as Jennifer Garner's character kind of goes through all this, she's getting beat up, she's worse, she's got bruises, she's got cuts, she's hurt, you know, kind of like John McClane was in the first Die Hard. You know, this whole thing of her, you know, yeah, she's had training, she went and got training to go do this, but she's still just a person, she's not like Superman. And, you know, so I liked that. It was, like I say, it gave it that sense of authenticity, but it was never gratuitous. So, you know, I feel like I'm gushing about this movie, and it's not a perfect film, but again, I think it's probably one of the best action movies I've seen in a long time. So let's talk about it here. Final grade for this one. I may be being a little generous here, but I'm really having a hard time not giving Peppermint an A+. Good, old school action movie, cathartic as hell, and just really, really great. So, if you're a fan of those kind of things, you really need to check this one out, and don't miss it. It was a great movie. And like I say, in a year like this one, where the movies have been, you know, everything from mediocre to just plain disgusting, it's so great to see a movie that you're watching going, yeah, fuck yeah, and just digging it. And again, seeing a movie that I'm sitting here going, they better damn well do a sequel. You know, I can't wait for Peppermint 2. So yeah, so that's this one. All right, so weird night out. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and until next time, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.